Losing a star player hurts, but sometimes it's for the better. They say when one door closes, another one opens. That's a great way to describe life in the NFL. The National Football League is a business, and eventually time comes for a star player to split from his franchise. Plenty of NFL teams had to make the difficult choice of bidding farewell to a big-name player this offseason. But there's a solution to every problem, as the draft and free agency can help these NFL teams replace the 10 stars that they parted ways with. Seattle Seahawks. Trade for Baker Mayfield. The Seahawks finally ended the Russell Wilson drama. They dealt the superstar signal caller to the Denver Broncos in a blockbuster deal that netted them 5 picks, including 2 firsts and a pair of seconds, along with backup QB Drew Lock, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, and young tight end Noah Fant. That's a great haul for a QB that didn't seem keen on committing to the Seahawks long-term anymore. But with that extra draft capital, the Seahawks don't really have to go for a full-on rebuild in the post-Wilson era. The Cleveland Browns are going to eventually trade disgruntled QB Baker Mayfield following the Deshaun Watson acquisition. There aren't many teams that make sense as suitors for Mayfield, but Seattle is on that short list of logical landing spots. Mayfield should be had for nothing more than a 2nd or 3rd round pick at this point. A healthy Mayfield, provided he's in a suitable coaching system, can be an above-average starter. Let's not forget his stellar 2018 and 2020 seasons. Pete Carroll is one of the best coaches in the business, and his player-friendly, energetic demeanor should mesh well with Mayfield's big personality. Plus, with Fant, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Chris Carson, and Rashad Penny in the fold, Mayfield would have quite the arsenal to work with. We aren't saying Mayfield would definitely become a star in Seattle, but he could do enough to keep them in playoff contention. At this point, Seattle may as well give it a shot and find out what he can do for them. Green Bay Packers. Sign Jarvis Landry and draft Jameson Williams. If the Packers play their cards right, they could totally come out of all of this with a better offense, even without Davante Adams. Like it or not, the passing game was too reliant on the Adams-Aaron Rodgers connection. The former trade to the Las Vegas Raiders could be a blessing in disguise for Green Bay. Maybe it finally prompts the Packers to build a more balanced receiving core. For starters, Green Bay can sign 5-time Pro Bowler wideout Jarvis Landry. The latter was released by the Browns in a cap-dumping move. A healthy Landry is always good for close to 1,000 yards a season, and his slick route running would give Rodgers a game-changing weapon to help replace some of Adams' production. And then with one of their 2 2022 first-rounders, the Pack should look to draft Alabama star Jameson Williams. They may even have to trade up for him, but it's worth it. Don't worry about the ACL tear. He's a speed burner who will single-handedly open up the playbook for Rodgers. Yeah, Adams is great and all, but 2 star receivers is better than 1, and Landry and Williams combined would cost a fraction of the price that the Raiders paid Adams. It's not rocket science. The Packers just have to get aggressive and they'll be able to offset Adams' departure, no problem. Kansas City Chiefs. Sign Odell Beckham Jr. Like the Packers with Adams, the Chiefs had grown too reliant on Tyreek Hill. Yes, they've had all-pro tight end Travis Kelce to complement him, but you need your number 2 and number 3 receivers to produce as well. The Chiefs already signed former Pittsburgh Steelers slot wideout Juju Smith-Schuster and former Packers deep threat Marquez Valdez-Scantling to offset the loss of Hill, who was sent to the Miami Dolphins in another offseason blockbuster. Thing is, the Chiefs shouldn't be satisfied with just those 2 guys. They should also make a play for Odell Beckham Jr., who rejuvenated his career with the Super Bowl 56 champion Los Angeles Rams. OBJ clearly wasn't the problem in Cleveland, as Matthew Stafford and the Rams showed. An elite QB can help Beckham continue to play at a Pro Bowl level, and few if any quarterbacks are more elite than Patrick Mahomes these days. Signing Beckham would give the Chiefs 4 big-time pass-catching threats, with OBJ, Kelce, Smith-Schuster, and Valdez-Scantling on their roster. The Chiefs can continue to field an offensive juggernaut, even without Hill in the fold. Los Angeles Rams. Sign Melvin Ingram III. There was no way the reigning champs would be able to retain Von Miller, not when the Buffalo Bills were willing to hand him a monster 6-year, $120 million deal like they did. The Rams have done a wonderful job replacing some of their lost pieces from last season by adding guys like Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson. They could still use another pass catcher to accommodate Aaron Donald, though, as we saw following Miller's arrival. Another explosive pass rusher can really take this unit to another level. Melvin Ingram had a stellar 2021 season with the Chiefs and Pittsburgh Steelers. Though his sack totals have declined over the years, Ingram is constantly getting after the quarterback and wreaking havoc in the offensive backfield. Miller looked like his former All-Pro self after joining forces with Donald. We're sure Ingram could do the same, especially with Donald often drawing double and triple teams. Adding Ingram on a bargain one-year deal would help make up for the loss of Miller. His track record speaks for itself. Kansas City Chiefs draft Daxton Hill. The cap-strapped Chiefs opted not to retain Pro Bowl safety Tyrann Mathieu, who was the heart of this defense for 3 seasons, because they made the 2021 AFC title game. It's easy to overlook just how bad the Chiefs' secondary was last year. They ranked 27th against the pass and allowed opposing QBs to complete 65.7% of their passes. And now they lost their best defensive back? Good luck getting back to the conference championship with his secondary. The Chiefs did sign former Houston Texans safety Justin Reid to somewhat replace Mathieu, but Reid alone isn't going to make up for that loss. More help at the safety position is required. With one of their 2 2022 first-rounders, the Chiefs should be all over Michigan safety Daxton Hill. Like Mathieu, Hill can line up anywhere across the field, and he can bring the pressure when the occasion calls for it. Sounds like someone who's tailor-made for Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Dallas Cowboys draft Christian Watson. With their backs right up against the salary cap wall, the Cowboys had to bid farewell to their several key starters early in the offseason. That included Pro Bowl wideout Amari Cooper, who was sent to Cleveland for the low price of a 5th-round pick and a swap of 2022 6th-rounders. Fortunately for Dallas, this is a very deep draft class for receivers. If they prioritize the position, Jerry Jones and company should manage to find a suitable replacement for Cooper. North Dakota State product Christian Watson could easily slot in as the new number 2 wideout in Dallas behind CeeDee Lamb. The 6'5", 208-pound Watson is one of the top deep threats in this class, and he would be the ideal complement to Lamb. Dallas could reach for Watson in round 1 or consider trading up for him in round 2 if he's still there. Watson, Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Dalton Schultz would ensure that Dak Prescott doesn't miss a beat, even with Cooper and Cedric Wilson gone. New Orleans Saints draft Trevor Penning. The Saints simply couldn't afford to retain star offensive tackle Terron Armstead, who took his talents to South Beach. The Saints made a blockbuster trade with the Philadelphia Eagles to gain a second first-round pick in this year's draft. New Orleans, in year 1 of the Sean Payton era, now holds the number 16 and number 19 selections. Gotta think that GM Mickey Loomis will use one of those selections on an offensive tackle, as he should. Top prospects like Evan Neal, Ike Mekwonu, and Charles Cross will be on board by the time New Orleans picks. The Northern Iowa product Trevor Penning should still be there for the taking. Penning would be a cheap, young replacement for the oft-injured Armstead. Joining superstar Ryan Ramczyk would help him adapt quickly while solidifying the New Orleans offensive line for many years to come. There's just no way the Saints can go into 2022 without adding at least one big-time offensive tackle. Looking at the realistic options between the draft and free agency, Penning feels like the best option for them, and playing alongside Ramczyk would have Penning in position to succeed right away. Chicago Bears signed Jadeveon Clowney. New Bears general manager Ryan Poles didn't wait long to make his first blockbuster deal. He sent the team's best player, Khalil Mack, to the Los Angeles Chargers for a 2022 second-round selection, plus a 2023 6th-rounder. Even if the Bears don't end up getting great value out of this trade, it made sense to move the oft-injured Mack and the final 3 years of his hefty contract. But trading away Mack doesn't mean the Bears need to stay quiet for the remainder of free agency. In fact, they should be even more active, since they lack a first-round pick in this year's draft. Jadeveon Clowney remains unsigned, unsurprisingly, despite a nice bounce-back season in Cleveland that saw him post 9 sacks. He doesn't have the individual accolades that Mack does, but Clowney's overall production hasn't been that far off of Mack since 2017. Chicago could essentially swap out Mack for the younger, cheaper, and healthier Clowney. The top selection of the 2014 draft is still young enough that it could be a useful long-term building block on the rebuilding Bears, if they want to give him a multi-year contract. The other option is to, well, stand pat and not sign any game-changing pass rushers to replace a future Hall of Famer. What option sounds better? New England Patriots draft Roger McCreary. It wasn't the least bit shocking to see Bill Belichick let J.C. Jackson walk in free agency. Nobody has a better record of replacing elite veteran talents with cheaper, younger commodities than Bill. Jackson bolted to the Los Angeles Chargers, signing a 5-year pact worth $82.5 million. The hooded genius decided to stay relatively quiet in free agency this year, leading us to think that Belichick's master plan will be unveiled at the draft. The 2022 class is loaded with quality cornerbacks, and with the number 21 pick in this year's draft, New England has a prime opportunity to replace Jackson. McCreary's high football IQ, coverage skills, and ball-hawking ways make him the perfect fit for this New England defense. He had 14 passes defended in his final year at Auburn. The Patriots have a rich history of quickly turning turning young defensive backs into immediate impact players. And we don't doubt Belichick could do the same with McCreary. New England has several needs at the draft, especially on the defensive side of the ball, but replacing Jackson is the main priority, and we know McCreary can still fill those shoes. Atlanta Falcons draft Malik Willis. The Falcons should have done it earlier, but they eventually decided to trade Matt Ryan this offseason. The 2016 league MVP was sent to the Indianapolis Colts for the rather low price of a third-round pick. We like the Falcons' decision to pick up Marcus Mariota on a 2-year deal. He's a fine short-term option and the bridge to the next starter in Atlanta, but we highly doubt that the Falcons view him as a potential long-term answer. The Falcons shouldn't be shy in using the number 8 pick on a quarterback in the draft. Yes, there are no sure things in this 2022 class, as all the quarterbacks bring numerous question marks, but Atlanta could find a real gem in him if they are willing to use their first-rounder on him. He may not be ready to start right away, but that's okay. Learning behind Mariota for a year or two doesn't hurt, and it gives their GM enough time to rebuild the offense for Willis. A dual threat QB like him would be the ideal fit for Arthur Smith's offense. Imagine Willis getting the ball out to Kyle Pitts and Cordarrelle Patterson, plus whoever else Atlanta adds in the draft. There's no guarantee that the Falcons will be in position to land one of the elite QBs in next year's 2023 draft class. This is their chance to find a quality succession plan to Matty Ice, and Willis is a very enticing prospect to take a chance on. What other moves should NFL teams make to replace their lost stars? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day's a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Biondo. I'll see you next time.